Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Kaito here, and welcome back to another Why I Love series. I was drawing a blank for a moment because I was gonna say the whole thing, but this is actually the third series of, or the third, no, not the third part. Let's see, I did 9 videos of these already. The third book, I guess. This is the third book I'm gonna do. It's the last of my top 3 favorite light novels that I have, and so I don't know what I'm going with this. I'm just gonna start. Seirei Gensouki, and I'm pretty sure I butchered that name, so if I did, I apologize. But Seirei Gensouki, Spirit Chronicles. This does have a manga. I don't know if it's been translated and released yet. I don't have the manga, but I have read it, and it also has a anime adaptation, which I liked. And like all anime adaptations of a light novel that you've read or maybe haven't read, um, it does leave some stuff out. But how I kind of discovered Seirei Gonseki is after I read a Refereta um on my tablet. I got when we finish reading a manga or not manga, a light novel, it'll give you a list of recommendations like, hey, other readers have liked reading this, also like these, and it gives you a list. And I saw Seirei Gonseki's Spirit Chronicles, and I'm like, I'll try it out, something new. This was. I apologize for my cough. I still have my coughing fit going on, but so I saw Seirei Gonseki's Spirit Chronicles, and I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot, right? So I downloaded it, read the first one, liked it. Second one, liked it. Third one, I was hooked, and I have read all the way up to um volume 18, which is available in digitally for physical copies. It has omnibus number 5, and I'll get to what omnibus is in a bit. But so digital wise, I can't even speak. Digital wise, it has 18 volumes out currently, and I have read the synopsis of 19, 20, and 21, so I pretty much know what's going to happen in that. But yeah, I guess I'll get to why I love um Spirit Chronicles. Now, before I get into what omnibus means in the physical copies and the light novels, I do want to talk about something as I just want to talk about it to kind of like put it out there. Um I usually see people talking about, hey, I just finished watching um Spirit. I was gonna say Referetta for some reason. I just finished watching Spirit Chronicles, the anime, and where's a good place to pick up? Where did the anime leave off so I could pick up the light novel and read it, or the manga and read it? And a lot of people in the comments always say start from one because it leaves out a lot of detail, which it is true, but not just for that. Well, without spoiling major points at least, because it is kind of a spoiler if they don't include the anime. But in volume one, okay, so we all know Ryu or Haruto, however you want to call him. He gets transported from another world. He gets isekai basically. This is an isekai anime or light novel, either or, whatever you want to call it. So it's an isekai. So he dies in a train in a bus accident. Was it a train or was it a bus? I could have sworn it was a bus, but I think in the anime it was a train. But it doesn't matter how he died. The point is he died and was isekai away, and woke up in the body of 7-year-old Ryu. And in the anime, you see how he kind of the shack he was staying in. The people come back, they throw him out. He goes wash up, talks to talks to his future sensei, talks to the princesses and all these other people. They comment how dirty and smelly he is. He goes back, fights that thief, the assassin, whatever you want to call him, saves the princess. I'm forgetting her name. I'm drawing a blank on her name, and I'm pretty sure I could probably like just open this up and get their name. Oh, maybe they don't have it. They don't have their names. Okay, they have Celia, Professor Celia. I remember her name. Oh my god, they don't actually have their names listed under here under their. And I can a Referetta they have when you open up the page and you see the art. They has the name of the character under there. Oh my gosh, I should have prepared before I did this. Why I love series. Oh no. But getting that aside, the fact that I forgot their names, leaving that aside, um, I want to say Charlotte for some reason, but I'm sure Charlotte is that one princess who we'll get into later. But anyways, okay, so all that happened in the anime. Now in the light novel, and I'm pretty sure they don't even include this in the manga, at least not as they did in the light novel. But in volume one, that scene when Ryu woke up Haruto, Ryu, whoever you want to call him, I'll probably alternate between Ryu and Haruto. But when he woke up and his partner and the people came back and kicked him out of the house, there was a adult worker, a night worker, you know what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I can say it on YouTube. That's why I'm like trying to work around it. But a nighttime lady, if you know what I'm talking about, you know. And I didn't mean to do it to Professor Celia, but just I don't need to point out what I'm talking about. But she was talking to Ryu outside, and basically saying how she wants to quit being a professional worker for adults and wanted to start up I think she said a cafe, like a cafe restaurant, something like that, business with her sister, who I believe she said had a child. And I'm pretty sure the sister was also a nighttime worker. But don't quote me on that. And again, this is kind of spoilers, but not really, because it's not like super important. But so that's like a little offhanded comment that you would get. Yeah, I want to quit being a worker and a nighttime worker and open up a business with my sister. Oh, okay, right. And then she went back inside a party with the others, and she was also one of the victims. Again, they left her out completely in the anime, so you don't even introduce to her. And something I do like that Yuri, which is the author of this novel, Yuri Kitayama, because the name Yuri sounds feminine to me, I'm probably gonna call the author a she, but it could be a he. And again, gender doesn't matter. I'll read this or whatever. I don't care what you are. If I love your work, I'll read it. But but I'll probably call the author she, because that's, anyways. That doesn't matter to my review. But so everything happens like it did in the anime. Rio saves the younger princess. He gets go to the school. All this other stuff happens. He gets before accepted to school, he's being treated as a criminal, being made to confess by that one B guy that you grow to hate, and he never confesses. He gets sent to school. He's been pretty much isolated, really only having tea with Professor Celia. And I believe what you don't see in the anime as well, and I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've seen the anime, but I don't even think the younger princess, and I hate that I don't remember their names, and I don't want to go looking through the book to find out what her name is, because I don't know if I would just find it out of the blue. Let's see here. We'll do a quick thing. Okay, I can find it, and I don't want to linger too long. Okay, all that happens. They go to the training exercise outside, and the same thing pretty much happens where the younger princess falls off a cliff. Rio saves her, and then he falls down, and everything played out. He goes on the run. When this is what I'm talking about, that I love what Yuri does, and the little subtle differences that are mentioned come back into it. When he's running away and leaving the kingdom, he goes inside a restaurant kind of thing. A few years past, I think it was I think Ryu, he was 7 years old when he started, I believe, 6 or 7. I want to say 7 though, and I'm pretty sure at this time he's 11. So you could do the math of how long it's been. But and again, I'm sure he's 11. I'm not saying he is 11. I'm sure he's 11, but he could be older. But anyways, he goes into like this restaurant kind of looking thing, and he sits down. It could be a cafe too, and starts sipping. And there's like a young girl tending to him, right? They're about the same age, give or take. Maybe she might be younger. but they're not that far off in age. Like he's not being served by like um a, a pretty girl or something, or like old girl or whatever. But you see, he's being served by a young girl, younger than him at least. And her mom comes in, and they talk about how they wanted to open up. Like she ended up achieving her dream, but she's sad because her sister wasn't able to be there with her. And kind of Ryu's like, what happened to your sister? Oh, well, she died in a bandit raid and stuff like that. And Ryu is able to put together that nighttime worker was her older sister or younger sister. I don't remember who was the older and who was the younger. But so it kind of comes back to Yuri, that off mention, like I want to, that nighttime worker saying, I want to open up a cafe. I'm gonna say cafe. I legit don't know exactly what it was, but I'm gonna say cafe. I want to open up a cafe with my sister, and and help raise her daughter, something along those lines. And then a few years pass. You're reading all this other stuff, the battle with the Minotaur, the duel with that one guy who I hate his name. I don't know his name, but I hate him. The one that was gonna marry Professor Celia, that Jack A. You read all this and you completely forget that until Ryu brings it up. He's like, oh, he doesn't say it to her. He says it like an inner monologue. Oh, you're her sister, and this is the daughter she was talking about. And I believe like they're probably mentioned again later. I don't remember, but Yuri does stuff like that a good bit. And there's another scene here that they left out in the anime where Ryu was at a tavern. I don't remember in what kingdom he was in, but he was at a tavern and he got into a bar fight with some older guys. And there's this little girl, like kind of like the same thing with the one nighttime worker's daughter. No, like helping parents out because it's a family owned restaurant or have family owned tavern. And there's this bar fight. Ryu handles himself. Not Ryu. Rio handles himself, and he leaves. Like you don't get that much. It's like not even 5. It could be 5, maybe more. It could be more than 5 pages. But I'm just saying, it's like it's not that long. Like it's not super concentrated. It's just a small skirmish in the tavern. Rio pays, and then he leaves. And then you meet her again, working as what's her name? The blue haired chick, the other reincarnate. Oh, that's probably spoilers. The blue hair chick from that is that guild, Riku Guild. She has blue hair. That's all I remember. But she ends up being one of her servants. So it's kind of like also going back, like you met one of the servants before when she was younger, but then like years come back and then they meet again, and she remembers Ryu. She's like, "You're that guy that had that bar fight at my family restaurant," and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that." Is the gist of it. But so that's our small stuff that are missed out, but there's a lot of it here. And again, you miss out on a lot of some important details. And also in the anime, they actually mixed up a few. They changed a few orders because I believe the ending of the anime, spoilers. We haven't seen the end of the anime. Ryu stays Professor Celia, and then he meets Miharu. But I think those, if I'm not mistaken, those events were reversed. He meets Miharu first, and then he has to save Professor Celia. And the reason why I think that is what happened is because I distinctly remember, and I could be wrong again, but I distinctly remember when he was flying, a voice told him, save them, and he didn't know who it was. So he kind of goes off where the voice is telling him to go, and he meets Miharu. And I also remember the scene where Rio, again, I said I'm going to mix up the names, wakes up with, why am I forgetting their names? Oh my God, because I've been doing these so long, I didn't, all right, for the next part, I'm going to review their names because I honestly forget. And this is not acceptable. This is not professional, and I don't want to delete this and start over after learning the names. But after the spirit wakes up, he's in bed with her. She's naked, and he's kind of naked. He might be in boxers. I don't know. And it was Miharu who walked in, and she's like, "What the heck?" She got embarrassed because she didn't know it was Haruto Ryu. And she's like, "Oh my god, I remember that scene." And when he went to go save Professor, he already knew the spirit. And again, I apologize for not knowing their names. It was a miscalculation on my end. I thought I will remember their names when I was reviewing this. When I'm like, okay, I'm gonna review this, and then when I'm started piecing down why I love it, I thought I was gonna remember their names, but I don't. So I apologize for that. And let's get into the actual review. I was just giving some small snippets of some stuff that people might find interesting. If you read, when people say, "Hey, I read the manga or I read the anime," where did the anime or manga evolve so I could pick it up in the light novel and read it? Read it from the beginning. Trust me. Yeah, everyone who says that is right. If I saw the anime and then I picked it up from where it left off and then came back later and read it, I will kind of be disappointed in myself saying I should have started from the first one, because a lot of stuff, it ties in together. Ryu does an excellent job of tying little knots that have been left back, tying them back into the future. And I wouldn't be surprised if some stuff I forgot, they come back in the future and you're going to be like, oh, this thing. I saw a video one time of someone talking about a perfect story, not perfect storytelling, but a good storytelling. And one of the things he said, don't put something in a scene that's never going to be addressed. And the example that person gave was, say you're writing a movie, and one of the in the beginning there's like a gun in the frame, like just hanging on the wall, and like you kind of focus on that gun for a little bit. Either the camera focuses on it, or like the character picks it up, looks at it, and puts it back. Use that gun by the end of the movie. That gun has to be used by the end of the movie, because it was just pointless storytelling if you show that gun and then it's just not gone. I mean, some people will probably forget, but that's something that kind of stuck with me, and I think Yuri does that pretty good. Is you're introduced to smart characters like or even if by passing, you just hear their names, or you just described it like that, like the what's her face, like that nighttime worker when she said my sister has a baby and we want to open up a restaurant. Okay, she didn't say her name. She didn't give them to him. She didn't say she looks like this. She works this. She does this. She's this years old. She probably could have said how old she is, but I just don't remember. But she didn't give like this whole backstory where that makes you care. It's just a offhanded comment. Maybe like something that maybe a friend of yours says, "Hey, yeah, like think if you're at a job or think if you're at school. You're different ages, so it could be anything. You're just hanging out with your friends, like, yeah, man, like I just want to open up a restaurant with my sister. I want to open up a restaurant with my wife, or I want to open up a restaurant with my best friend. He has a kid. He's a single dad, mom, whatever. And, just want to do something different. You're like, oh, all right. Bam, they die. You're like, what the heck? And then you forget about it because you're reading like his whole life story, in school at least. And then you're reintroduced to the characters, and then you're like, oh, I forgot about them. Oh, that's kind of nice. They're referenced back. That's what I thought when I saw that. So again, people who say read it from volume 1, read it from volume 1. You won't be disappointed. And okay, so again, I kind of lingered. Then there was 18 minutes. I didn't think it would go that long. That would be like a 10-minute segment, but I apologize. So let's get into the review. Okay, so spoiler warning. If you were here to just watch or just to see why you should read it from the beginning, from my point of view, with light spoilers, and you don't want spoilers, you leave right now. Now, I am gonna I'm gonna say spoilers because I'm gonna read from what happens. I'm not gonna give you like detailed summary from what happens from 1 to 18 or possibly 21. Because I think I'm gonna go all the way to 21. But I'm not gonna give you the full detail. Like I'm not gonna read the book to you. I'm just gonna take out parts out and then explain storytelling and stuff that I like. Okay, so if you're going for the physical copy, I recommend digital copies because again, it's further than physical, and not just that. But if you're gonna go for physical copies like me, I go for both. I like physical copies, so that's why I got it. But I've read it on the digital. But anyways, the physical copies has this thing called omnibus 1, 2, 3, and 4. What omnibus means is this is volumes 1 and 2 put together. So, like, this is the cover for volume 1. This is actually the cover for volume 2. So, there's Leave something. Lifada? Hey, look, their names are back here. But leave something. But yeah. So this is volume 1 and 2 put together. This is volume 3. The cover volume 3. Cover volume 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So theoretically, I have volumes 1 through 8 here in my hands. Theoretically, even though it's only 4 volumes. And those were just the covers. So to let you know that those were the covers. Okay, so why I love it. Spirit Gensouki, I'm just going to call it Spirit Chronicles because I'm sure I'm butchering that name and I hate butchering names. Spirit Chronicles does something that at the point I picked it up, I have not seen. And I think currently I still haven't seen anything close, maybe something similar, but not exact. But at the time, Spirit Chronicles for me did it first. For me, again, I'm not saying that they're the first, just from my experience, they were the first ones. An isekai where the main character doesn't know who he is. And I'll get to that now. Again, heavy spoilers. Okay, so Haruto is a 20 or 21-year-old college student. You first start the book off that he's that years old when he dies. Let me go back in time a little bit. Okay, so back when Haruto was about 5 years old, 5, 6, 7, he had to move away from his childhood friend Miharu. And because his parents were getting divorced, Haruto's parents were getting a divorce, and he was gonna go live with his dad. And the reason for the divorce, I'll get into it later because it involves a character. So they're getting divorced, and Haruto's going with the dad. So Haruto's going to the countryside, and Miharu's crying because she doesn't want Haruto to go. They're childhood friends. So before he leaves, they do that classic, when we're older, let's marry each other, right? And Haruto agrees. You know, like, yeah, when we're older, we'll marry each other. And he said he'll get strong to protect her. And then you kind of jump forward into where he's kind of like in middle school ish, because I remember he was talking to his uncle saying like or not uncle, but grandpa, or maybe it was his dad, one of the two. It could have been both. Talking about where he wants to go to high school because he's about to go to high school, and his dad says, since you've been working hard, I'll let you choose where you want to go to high school. And he chooses the school in the city so he could hopefully run into Miharu, who he says like maybe that promise is something that kids do, and she probably forgot about it, but it'll be nice to see her again. But the time when he was away with his grandpa and father, Haruto has been training in like kendo or something. Not kendo because it wasn't a sword. It was like mixed martial arts kind of style. Maybe judo. I forgot what it was, but he was like training. So Haruto's been working out, hitting the pumps, right? So the whole thought process was to protect Miharu. So he takes the exam. He gets accepted into high school. And I believe it was opening day, and I don't really remember if it was opening day or maybe like just I'm just gonna say opening day, but I could be wrong if it was opening day. He sees a girl who he instantly knows who it is. It's Miharu, older. He can't forget, how, and he's like, wow, like that's Miharu. So he goes up to talk to her, but as he takes like 1 or 2 steps, he notices there's a guy beside her, and she's like looking at him and giggling with him, like they're laughing, right? And he kind of gets, I don't want to say devastated, but he gets disheartened, and he kind of like whimpers out and like he chickens out and leaves. And he starts saying, like, well, I mean, they've been gone since all these times, so it wouldn't be strange for her to have a boyfriend. So he kind of felt heartbroken that he probably saw Miharu with her boyfriend. But then he said, tomorrow I'll talk to her, even if that is her boyfriend. I'll wish them luck. Again, she should live her life. I'll live mine. We can make peace. We can say, hey, long time. And then we'll go our separate ways. So, but before he left, there was a high school girl that kind of talked to him. She's like, hey, it was her senior. I believe she was second or third year. I want to say second, but, she like taps Haruto on the shoulder and like, you all right? He's like, yeah, I'm just I was just looking for my class. And like, all right, well, just take care of yourself and all that, being friendly. And I am mentioning this because it's gonna come later. But so he meets that senpai, and then they break off, and He leaves, and then that's when he has that recollection. Next day of school, Miharu never shows up. Next after that, she's gone. She doesn't show up either. Next after that, nada. So he goes and asks the professor, hey, he's asking the teacher, hey, Miharu, she was here, but she's not. Something happened. And then like, a little bit of investigating, he finds out that Miharu actually disappeared after the first day of school, along with other students. And their disappearance hasn't been made public because, well, it's a mysterious disappearance. They just disappeared while walking home. No trace of them whatsoever. So then Haruto, so he lives with that regret. In his head, he's saying, if I had talked to her that day, would she still be here? Would she not have disappeared? So he kind of has like that self-lingering thing, and he pretty much keeps to himself going all the way up to university. He doesn't date. He meets people here and there. He helps people out. So you'll get some backstory later about him helping people out. But he gets on a bus where he's one of three. It could be four, but I'm pretty sure it's three. One of three people. So it's Haruto, this elementary girl, and this girl that's about high school age, I believe he said. And then it was him in university, and not including the bus driver. The bus gets into an accident, and everyone dies except for the bus driver. So the elementary girl died, the high school girl died, Haruto died, everyone died except for the bus driver. And then next thing you know, Haruto wakes up, and he's now in the body of a 7-year-old boy named Ryo. And this is what I mean by that. At the time when I picked this up, I haven't read a story like this, where he kind of starts having like a crisis, an identity crisis. It doesn't happen right away. Like, he's trying to figure it out, but it does happen along the way. Is he Ryo with Haruto's memories? Or is Haruto, or did he just wake up with some guy named Haruto's memories from a different world? So it's like, he doesn't know what exactly happened. He knows he could tell you his story from when his mom died. His dad apparently died when he was very young. He remembers everything from his past. He remembers the person who killed his mom. He remembers all that. And then he also has these memories of a guy he doesn't know, Haruto, from Japan. And so think about it like this. You're living your life right now, right? You wake up tomorrow and you suddenly have memories of a person you don't know from a fantasy world. A guy, maybe the hero, whatever your name want to be, fighting dragons, fighting stuff like that. Is that you from a different world, or is that just the memories of someone who you just got for whatever reason? Like, you don't know. Like, his personality is different. Maybe he's popular with she popular with whatever whatever you identify. I don't know how to word it right so include everybody, but let's just say you're a hero and you get the memories of a hero from a different world, but you're like, is that me, or like, is this real? Like, what is this? And you're just confused. So he kind of has that thing where he kind of and the reason why I call it like a identity crisis is because he kind of lives his life with Ryo's memories, but kind of acting like Haruto. He's polite. He addresses people as ma'am. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, but that's just like the politeness. He'll always bow, say please and thank you. Like, he's just respectful. For a 7-year-old boy, he's respectful. And that's another thing too. He's 7 years old. How would you feel if you woke up at 7 years old with the memory and the personality, or like you could tell the personality of a 21-year-old? So you basically just matured instantly. So that's kind of like a lot of people point that out. Like, wow, you're so polite for a 7-year-old, and not just a 7-year-old, but someone from the slums, right? You're like, we don't teach you stuff. Like, you know how to read, you don't know how to write. You know how to read. You could do math. You could do math. That's a big thing. And here he is doing all this other stuff. But yeah. So again, like I said before, when I was doing the other summary stuff. He kind of gets kicked out because they're having a party. He's living with like thief band, I guess you'd call them, and they kick him out because they're having a party. They just stole some stuff, so everyone who contributed basically is getting it, and Ryo's gonna get scraps. and they have the nighttime worker there. So he goes, washes up, talks to Professor Celia and the others, and then he goes back, finds them dead. He fights off the assassin. Everything pretty much played out like in the anime. Saves her, goes back, gets treated for not treated. He gets accused of being the thief, and so they take him into questioning. And the Charles, is it Charles? Is that the guy who I hate? I'm pretty sure his name's Charles. I just remember his name. Charles. He was the one who's supposed to guard the younger princess, and so he's trying to get a conviction out of Rio, because he knows if Rio confesses, the blame will be shifted off of him. So he's trying his hardest to get Rio to confess, to the point where he says towards the end, he's like, "Get the slave collar." And they're like, so basically what the slave collar is, if the owner of the slave could make him do and say whatever he wants. So if he puts a slave collar on Rio and says, "Confess to the crime of kidnapping the younger princess," and he says, "I confess to the crime of kidnapping the younger princess," boom, you got 3 witnesses there. And if they all work together, you don't have to say, like the system's pretty effed up when you get down to it. But that thankfully that was stopped in time. They took Rio off of the chains. He's been beaten, he's been whipped, and all this other stuff, but he never broke. He's took into a room, healed, and then he wakes up, and he does have the scars on his body from that time, like all the from the whipping, from the beating. His wounds healed as scars. And the one thing I didn't like, and it's kind of minimum play, is he was still polite afterwards when all this happened. When I think I would have been, this is my opinion, if that happened to me, I would have been PO'd. Even after you healed me, I would like, I don't want to talk to any of y'all in the kingdom. Like, I just want to get out of here, right? That would be me. But anyways, I can't fault it. It's Ryu, and it's Yuri's work, so she can write it however she wants. But yeah, and then everything happened like in the anime. He goes to school. He's training. He's actually one of the better sword fighters, and a lot of people are talking smack about him. The older princess, because there's 2 princesses, an older one and a younger one. So Ryu and the older princess are in school together. And one of the older princess entourage, one of her friends, they're like the top 2 students. Like, oh, the princess here, whatever her name is, again, I'll remember it for part 2. Princess over here, she's the smartest girl in school, and I'm the second. And they're just talking down to Rio because he could speak, but he can't read or write. So they're like, so he goes to Professor Celia, and he's like, "Can you teach me how to read and write?" Because he still has the Japanese teachings. He could write and read in Japanese kanji. He doesn't know the language. He can speak it, but he doesn't know how to read or write the language of this world. He wasn't born with it. So Professor Celia helps him, and he's studying in his own time. And she was surprised that he knew mathematics. So it's like, because again, like this was the advanced mathematics she gave him. 10 plus 2 minus 3. Like, she's like, even Professor Celia was like, even not princess, Professor Celia, I think it's a princess, but even Professor Celia is like, even Princess, whatever her name is, has trouble figuring this out. Like, she struggles a bit, and he's like, really? And he's like, this is elementary stuff. He says it in his head, because again, Japan has, Earth, I should say, in general, is more advanced than you would be in the Middle Ages. So once he understood how to read and write, he was pretty strong. He was pretty smart, to the point where people were shocked at his test studies when he was number 1. Because when you do your test and you put their scores on board, you're like, oh, you probably cheated, you probably bribed, and then he's like, I'm a slums. Well, how can I bribe the teachers? But they just won't accept that. Logic doesn't apply to them. And the same thing happens, like in the anime. He's kind of isolated. The younger princess also joins the school, and they're in class with them. And she kind of eyes him. Ryu can tell that the younger princess kind of follows him with his eyes, she says. Then they have the outdill drill thing, and pretty much like in the anime, one of the guys pushes the princess off. Ryu saves her. Then they start trying to blame it on Ryu, saying, "No, he pushed me. No, he pushed me into her." So it's because they don't want to get in trouble for almost killing a princess. So they're like, everyone collectively tries to blame Ryu, except for the younger princess. She's trying to protect Ryu. And Ryu's hearing all this because he climbs back up, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna dip. This is perfect time for me to dip. And then the Minotaur comes, he saves her, and then he dips. And that's where I'm gonna end it here. all that is in volume 1, and I'll pick up for the rest for volume 2. And again, I'm leaving a whole bunch of context out because I don't want, this isn't a review. This is just a why I love it and talking about parts of it. But anyways, peace, love, bye bye.